Ooh, that looks tasty.
Welcome folks, today the Hungry Gamer is back with another mini preview / review. And today we're talking about Fires of Thokaia, the expansion to Light in the Dark, which is a game set in the Pest universe. Now, the reason that I'm putting these both together is the Light in the Dark is a game that is out, and the publishers kind of sent me a copy. And I was getting close to making a video on it, and they asked me if I would cover the Fires expansion, which changes the game drastically. And it changes the game in a way that I would not play the core game without it. So with that being said, I decided I'm going to talk about this game in regards to the Fires expansion. So this kind of falls in the review preview zone, and you can kind of feel that out how you will. And thank you to the publisher for sending me both Light in the Dark and the expansion to check out. So what this game is this is an adventure style game where you are traveling around the land and you are curing villages of the plague, you are fighting monsters, and kind of leveling yourself up just a little bit as you're going. And what's going to happen is every scenario you're going to have a quest that you're going to do. And that quest is going to be 3 different cards, and each card will have a set number of rounds. You're going to play through all 3 rounds, so no matter what, you're going to finish the quest, and at the end you'll see how you did in regards to points and kind of compare that to a chart. Now, what will happen on your turn is you'll have 3 turns, and for your turn you'll have a set dexterity value, and that'll allow you to move and or do different actions. And these actions might be picking something up, it might be buying you items. I'll point out that in the expansion you now have the core items, which you always had access to, but now you have small items, which are actually some of the original items from the original game that are just kind of always available for a coin, and some new crafting items that you can create after you've killed bad guys and kind of use them to make new gear. Or you might be doing something that is related to the large quest, like searching the mountains or searching the forest, or all those kinds of things. And as you're moving around, you'll be spawning new bad guys and new locations depending on the tiles that you flip out. As you flip out these tiles, you can keep exploring as you're trying to accomplish your goals. But as the bad guys show up at the end of each round, they're going to move and they're going to attack you, or you'll move on to them and attack them. And when that happens, you're both going to chuck 2d6 and add some different stats to it and see who hurts each other. And if they hurt you, you'll drop one of your 3 stats. If all of your stats hit 0, then you've been defeated, and you kind of respawn with a couple minuses here and there. But if you beat the bad guy, you're going to take their token, and you're going to be able to use that to do some crafting, and you'll be able to possibly loot the corpses. You'll kind of roll a d6, and if you hit a certain number, then you'll get something. But at its core, you're just kind of moving around and trying to accomplish whatever the goal that has been set by the specific scenario. And it might be, as I mentioned, search 3 forests. It might be set up a barricade outside 3 enemy spawn points. And usually it says do these on different tiles, so you have to explore. Now, talk a little bit about kind of the differences between the core game and this game. In this game, it's a little bit easier to explore new tiles. It doesn't take movement to do that. It has kind of new challenging terrains for you to move through, so it's a little bit more thematic. But most importantly, it has classes. And you have a class. And in the prototype, there's 2 classes, the medic and the barbarian. And as you defeat bad guys, you're going to get new abilities that you're able to use until you take the rest action, which is new, which is just straight up a heal and kind of recharge your abilities. In addition, all of the bad guys now level up as well. Every time you spawn a bad guy, you're going to move the token around the card, and they'll slowly level up, and eventually kind of the bosses from the original game will spawn. So you might fight multiple bosses any given game as you're kind of moving through. And as I mentioned, each of the cards of the quest, again there's 3 of those, you're going to try to accomplish those, whatever the objective is on that card. But if you fail, something bad happens. If you succeed, something good happens. But no matter what, you're going to keep on going through. And that's also a change from the original game, in which if you died, you were dead, and you had your quests that you were trying to accomplish, but for the most part, you're just trying to kill the boss. Now, broadly speaking, that's the overview of how this game plays. So what do I like about this game? The first thing is I really dig this world of Pest. In fact, I have Pest sitting right here. You can't quite see it. I've painted it, and I haven't covered it yet, even though they're kind enough to send it to me, simply because I haven't got enough games played of it. But it's a really cool game. It's a really cool world. And I like this idea a lot, that you're traveling around trying to save everybody, trying to cure everybody. Though in the Light and the Dark / Fires, you're doing a lot more fighting, as opposed to in regular Pest, you don't do much of that. But that said, I also like that it's very portable. I have literally taken this game all over the country, whether it be the original version or the expansion version. It's very, very portable. It's not necessarily playable on a small space. You still need an actual table. You're not going to play it on a tiny little two-top at a coffee shop. But it's very easy to travel with, so as long as you can find a table, that's great. It's also very simple to play. There's a lot of actions that you can do, but at the end of the day, it's very simple. For most turns, you're going to move, pick something up, move, fix a town, move, buy something, move, attack. That's pretty much all you're going to be doing, so I like the simplicity of it. I also really, really, really like the new quests. Those are great. In the original game, even though there's things you could do, it was, to sound mean about it, a little bit dull and boring. But these new quests are very interesting. It forces you to travel. It forces you to do different things. And there's more quests coming in the actual version, so I've only played the 2, but it's really, really fun as you're trying to kind of get yourself around, find the things you need, because sometimes you can't find what you need. You have to keep exploring, and you're fighting things as you go along the way. Really, really clever. It really works well. In addition to that, they have a little mini quest system, which is a way to get XP, and again, it's probably going to make you move around and explore. It really amps up the exploration in this expansion. Along with that, in the original game, you could just kind of build out wherever you wanted. Now it's a 4x4 grid, and that is where you're limited to, and I really like that. I like the structure of the world, even though it still feels like it's a sandbox. Next, I really like the classes. That makes each of the characters feel interesting. It really makes me want to go fight instead of avoid things, because I can get an ability that's going to really, really help me. Classes are just fantastic. I also love the addition of the new rest action, because it's going to give me my abilities back and do a little bit of healing. And healing was not particularly easy in the original game. You can use herbs, but you need herbs to cure towns, so that's very, very clever. Perhaps, though, the best thing is the leveling up the bad guys. Every time a bad guy is spawned, they get stronger. So it's just very exciting and challenging, and what it does is it makes combat a little more interesting, because at the core, you're both chucking 2d6 and looking at the delta between you, and if you're above, you win. If they're above, they win. So I think that works really well. The last 2 things I'll say is the 2 new item types. One, the small items that you can just kind of buy. Those are great because they actually are cards in the original game, not all of them, but most of them, that you would have to find, but now you can just buy them and use them. And they're wonderful. It gives a little more flexibility. It's more interesting. I think that works really well. And the new craft items are great also, because it's sending you out sometimes specifically to find certain bad guys because you want this item. So I think that works really well as well. So what are my quibbles with the game? The first thing is, and this is a quibble with the original game too, you build this map, but it slides over the second you bump it. So it doesn't really build out to something really pretty because they slide all over the place. The next thing I'm going to say is there's no real story. So this is not a super fast game. It's not a long game. You can play it in probably about 40 minutes to an hour. But there's no huge overarching story. You get a couple of sentences, and for such a cool world, I'm saddened that there's not more story to go with it. And then the only other thing that I'm going to say, and this is going to sound harsher than I think it is that it's a little bit repetitive. Now, in the core game, that was my main complaint, is that you were doing the same thing over and over and over again for that 40 minutes. The expansion varies that up a lot. However, at the end of the day, most of what you're doing is you're going to move and try to fight something. You're going to move and try to fight something. You're going to move and buy something. And it's enjoyable, but that's the core of the game. It is a simple, quick game, and if you're looking for a deep dive into the world of Pest, this isn't it. If you're just looking for something that is kind of cool looking and is a fun little exploration and adventure, then that is what this is. So there's not a lot of depth here, and the combat itself is, again, it's just chucking 2 dice and looking for the delta. So it's not particularly interesting combat. But that's it. I was very, very, very lukewarm on the core game. And I was actually spending some time before they asked if I would cover this to figure out how I wanted to word my lukewarmness, because I am of the mind that I don't have to like everything, but I need to at least be kind about how I word it. And there was some repetition, and it wasn't particularly exciting, the core game. The expansion really kicks it up several notches. The classes, the leveling up bad guys, the new items, it makes this game far, far more interesting. And it turns into one that if you're digging the world and you're just looking for something you can take with you and have a relatively quick exploration, go around, chuck some dice, do some fighting, then this might be the game for you. There you have it, folks. That is Fires of Thokaia, the new expansion, or Light in the Dark. As I mentioned in the beginning, there is zero reason to have Light in the Dark if you don't have this expansion. This expansion makes the game 100% better. So, there you have it, folks. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.